If you visit the YouTube channel of comedian Steven Crowder, an action that I cannot endorse under any set of circumstances unless you realize that you are damned to hell and you need something torturous enough to acclimate yourself to your inevitable fiery fate, you will see an image of him spray painting the American flag, superimposing his name over it. Steven Crowder. It's getting crowdered in here.
Oh, wow! He has art on his websites? Well, gee willikers, mister. I would have never thought that someone would add art to their websites, and in considering that they're an American and they like right-wing politics, the American flag?
We'll come back to this in a moment. For now, let's focus on his video content. The most recent of his sonic abominations against intelligence, as of the making of this video, is Union Superpower, featuring Wisconsin Vern.
Those are our terms.
Right, I know, but if you don't make any concessions, we'll be forced to close our doors and you'll all lose your jobs.
I don't know nothing about that. Those are our terms right there.
Wisconsin Vern is a wholly unreasonable union character who threatens you at gunpoint if you don't pay your dues.
Should probably pay your dues.
Right, and I totally know that you're going to totally show some empirical evidence that shows that this is a wrong representation of union members.
I wish I was joking, but I'm not. If you scroll down Crowder's channel, you can find a link to his friend and fellow YouTuber How the World Works, Lee Doran, who has already made 3 videos about the union protests in Wisconsin.
The Wisconsin union teachers have demonstrated exactly why FDR did not want public funding of unions.
So, between Doran and Crowder, both of whom are representatives of larger political groups, Lee Doran is a high-ranking member of the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and Steven Crowder is essentially a mouthpiece for the National Center for Public Policy Research. The dominant theme in their videos seems to be that teachers are a vile and villainous lot of evil socialists trying to bend the American dream over a table and just shove a 12-inch strap-on up its ass.
So these unions claim they want democracy. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about the kids either. The only thing they care about is lining their own paychecks.
They seem to ignore the fact that it's not just teachers protesting, it's also police and firefighters and road workers and pretty much everyone on a government salary. Why is it that conservatives are the first to wave the flag and call the police and the firefighters our greatest heroes, but then the second those firefighters and police ask for a little bit of fair compensation, they turn into the bad guys? Oh, how dare you firefighters, how dare you police, how dare you teachers, asking us to pay you what's fair.
Wait a minute. Firefighters? Police? Did he say that?
These unions claim they want democracy. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about the kids either. The only thing they care about is lining their own paychecks.
Oh no! He said unions! Yeah! Isn't that interesting, Mr. Amazing Atheist? Yeah, you're totally strawmanning. Why don't you just stop?
There's a question right now that has been posed on reddit.com, and it goes a little something like this. What sort of person does not think there is anything wrong with asking the folks that are tasked with teaching our children to take a 20% cut on a $50,000 annual salary, but think it's a terrible idea to ask millionaires to pay an additional 3% more in taxes?
That is a bit of a hard sentence to digest. What exactly does this mean? Okay, so 20% cut off salary? Oh yeah, that's right. Salary is that thing you get paid yearly. That total amount of money you get paid yearly. 20%, well, there are 12 months out of the year, so 20% would be like, oh, those months that teachers don't even work. How surprising that those would be the times they don't get paid.
I have an answer to that question. The same kind of person who thinks that all of these teachers should be fired for daring to ask for a decent wage for doing the very important job of educating future generations.
And isn't it interesting that if you actually look at statistics about how well we're learning in this country, our teachers aren't doing a very consistent job of educating anyone. U.S. literacy rates are all over the board from year to year. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Amazing Atheist, isn't it interesting how you keep saying that you're for the working man, but you've never worked a day in your life? You fat, ugly fuck. Shut the fuck up.
Every single one of them should be fired.
The same kind of people who lie about opinion polls directly reversing the results. Like Fox News' Brian Kilmeade, who falsely claimed that 61% of Americans polled by USA Today favored taking away collective bargaining rights from public employees. That's actually the percentage of people who are opposed to taking away collective bargaining.
How convenient that the second you mention it, you also have no links in your descriptions or any citations whatsoever. Oh wow, you're such an amazingly poor atheist, aren't you? Most atheists would have cited this. Also, how do you know those aren't two different polls? Alright guys, I actually managed to do a little bit of legwork. You see, I actually appreciate nuance, and I actually care about, looking into sources. And yes, the poll he showed was actually correct. I looked it up on USA Today. And here's the thing, unlike him, I'll actually leave a link in the description below. Isn't it amazing how this is like the only time he's actually not lied throughout this video? He didn't even show the entire Steven Crowder video, but believe me, when that point comes up, I'll bring it right back up. Good job, Fatso, you did one thing right.
But you could see how Fox News might have been confused there. The definition of favor and oppose are so very interchangeable. The same sort of people who claim that union protesters are violent thugs, and that Tea Party protesters have never been as violent.
Look at the photos below, by the way, of the thuggish tactics. The Tea Party has never engaged in anything like this.
What's their evidence? Some inflammatory signs? Oh, well, we never see those at Tea Party protests. The American taxpayers are the Jews for Obama's ovens. Barack Hussein Obama, the new face of Hitler. Obama's plan, white slavery. We came unarmed. This time. Those signs are all okay, because they're on the right. You see? If it's right-wing thugs holding up violent signs, accusing the democratically elected leader of their own country of being a bloodthirsty, genocidal maniac, that's okay. Because Lee Doran and Steven Crowder agree with those violent thugs. But if cops and teachers and firefighters and other government employees have a grievance and they dare to protest, they are met with scorn and vitriol and absolute prejudice from Mr. Crowder and Mr. Doran. Yes, they are.
Interesting. You have signs, I have actual video of actual union violence. Let's play it, shall we?
They're working on it right now. There it goes. Take it, go! Take it, right to this law. I will not. I will not. No. 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 We have a right. This is our law. This is our law. Shame on you. Shame on you. I will not move. Shame on you. You're going to get up to the office. We will not move. No. Move. Put your fucking horse off me. You have no right to assault us. No. I'm not assaulting. You are assaulting innocent, peaceful people. Fuck you. You are shameful. You are shameful. I will not move. I will not move. You will have to. Fuck you. I will not. I will not. You will have to push me. I will not. Hey, fucking.
Keep dicking the people! One way to fascism. Let's go in there! Yeah. Screw these idiots!
Everyone! You're oppressed! You act like you're angels or something! We don't need stupid singing angels! We need our militants! Oh, god damn, I hate them!
This building occupied. We weren't necessarily in control, but the control was within our grasp.
Those were the protests for the right to work people out there in Michigan. At least that first one was, where they took down that tent. The other two were actually in Wisconsin. Occupy Muskego was that one with the horse, where that guy kept saying, "You're going to have to push me. I will not move." Which, by the way, yeah, that's not police brutality if you force them to use force to get you to obey the law. Okay? These are actual violent protesters. All those other people protesting inside of the Capitol of Madison, in Madison, Wisconsin, yeah, totally not violent. I mean, you have signs, but I have actual video. What you got next, fatty, huh? Also, before I forget, links to all those videos in the description below. Something Mr. Amazing Atheist won't give you.
Let's take a good, hard, long look at these people that Lee Doran and Steven Crowder have both branded thugs.
My name's Rebecca Parrish. I live in Madison, and I'm a teacher at Madison Area Technical College, and I don't support this so-called budget repair bill.
I'm from Portage, Wisconsin, local 3394. I work at Columbia Correctional as a sergeant.
Oh my God! They're coming right for us!
Nice cherry picking there. You know, Bernie supporters like you, I shouldn't be surprised at this point how much you cherry pick the times when you talk about the violence and the times you don't. And how you never acknowledge when your group ever gets violent against people.
What's up guys, Joey Salas here, and today we're going to do a social experiment where we're going to find out whose supporters are more aggressive. I'm going to pretend to be a Bernie supporter, and then I'm going to pretend to be a Trump supporter. Let's see what happens. You guys voting for Bernie? You voting for Bernie? Voting for my homie Burns? Feeling the burn? You voting for Trump, buddy? You voting for Trump?
Vote for Trump?
No? Yeah, vote for Trump.
Dude, don't even tell me you're serious, man.
Vote for Trump, man.
Serious?
Yeah.
There's people like you that are a problem with this country.
I'm the problem with the country? Maybe the illegal immigrants are the problem. Well, I'm voting for Trump. I don't know about you. Who are you voting for?
Bernie all the way, man.
Voting for Bernie? You should vote for Trump instead.
Oh, dude. Whack.
Why?
Dude, he is racist, man.
What makes him racist? What did he say that's racist?
Dude, every single thing that comes out
Everything
of
that he
his mouth is
says?
racist. Yeah.
So saying that he wants to get rid of illegal immigrations is racist?
Absolutely.
Who's that racist towards?
Everyone.
Everyone?
Yeah. I'm offended by it. To tell you the truth. Immigrant, man. You.
I mean, getting pretty violent. What?
It's on down, man.
What?
It's on down, man.
Dude, just vote for Trump.
It's on down.
Just vote for Trump. All you gotta do is vote for Trump. Dude.
The maniacs! Keep away!
As high schoolers in America, we're the future of the country, and with more cuts affecting teachers' jobs and getting rid of those good teachers that can properly educate us, it's kind of misleading because it's not bringing up a great society of future leaders to America.
What is it about right to work that you oppose so much? Whatever you oppose about right to work is because it's the freedom to freeload. They can suck all of the parasitical benefits and the hard wages that unions have negotiated, and they get it for free.
Already destroyed one tent. Leave the tent alone.
Get the out of my face!
Don't tear down the tent.
Get the out of my face!
You hurt a lady in there.
You're addressing me. I didn't hurt nobody. You hurt the out of my face!
Back
the fuck up!
Stop tearing down the tent.
Back the fuck up!
Okay. You just assaulted me, buddy. He's got a gun! You don't want anybody to get hurt. I'll kill a motherfucker with a gun! I killed 20 motherfuckers with a gun! Hey! Leave it alone.
And before some idiot comments and says, "Well, that video was edited. Steven Crowder was in a video where the guy got off the ground." Guess what? There's a video, I'll leave in the link in the description below, that shows how Steven Crowder was clearly defending himself.
So let's recap. If you are a paranoid, delusional bastard protesting a false version of reality where Obama is Hitler and low taxes are high taxes, then Lee Dorn and Steven Crowder will fawn over you. Do they seem the least bit like thugs?
My name is Wendy Cooper, and I'm a parent, and I'm a UW graduate, and I'm a citizen, and I know that if we don't stop Governor Walker on this power grab, he'll just keep going.
Do they inspire even a modicum of fear in you?
Well, I am a proud member of the Milwaukee Teachers Union, MTEA. I am here in support of my union. I'm here in support of all unions.
Does it seem like the socialist revolution has arrived in America and we're all upon the brink of disaster? Personally, I find them to be completely normal people who have been mobilized by a serious political threat to their rights as workers. Unlike that other group.
Federal Reserve's about as federal as Federal Express.
What does that mean?
It's a private bank.
It's, you know.
It's a private bank?
Is this for your private collection?
Why am I here? Because it's a gathering to fix our views. I mean, you know.
Fix our views?
Well, because, I mean, things have been skewed quite a bit by this new Obama thing going on here.
How long will we have to pay for slavery? How long will we have to keep bailing them up before they find a job and take care of their family?
Oh, totally, absolutely. I mean, why ask for context as to what these people are talking about to see their arguments?
Like the megalomaniacal dipshits that they are. But if you're an American worker with genuine, real-life grievances with your politicians, and you decide to protest, then these two morons are not on your side. They're against you. They will brand you violent thugs and dismiss you and dismiss you and dismiss you and dismiss you again. So the American worker cannot count on the support of Mr. Dorn or Mr. Crowder, but you know who can count on their support? Millionaires and billionaires. Because if you try to raise taxes on that group, these two treacherous worms will do the pseudo-liberty shuffle and explain why the economy would just be doomed if we dared to raise the taxes on the wealthy elite, even just a little bit. So, to recap, according to Mr. Doran and Mr. Crowder, if the politicians in power decide to fuck the teachers and the police and the firefighters and the other government employees with monster truck force, that is good and right and just. And if the workers dare to complain, they're branded thugs. But if the politicians try to raise taxes on those making over $250,000 a year,
of whom pay over 50% of the United States yearly federal income tax every year.
These two great defenders of their twisted definition of freedom and justice will rise up and proclaim, "How dare you fuck millionaires? How dare you?"
You know what? I'm just going to say this right now. I think we all know exactly why Mr. Amazing Atheist, also known as TJ, I don't know what that stands for, but I don't really care. I think we all know why he really hates millionaires. It's not because he hates millionaires, it's because he's a jealous little prick who is scared that he's going to all of a sudden lose his job on the internet and someday have to get a real job. And when he does, he's not going to be able to sit around all day, eat Cheetos, and get fatter and lazier. For once, he's actually going to have to contribute something in life. So he'd at least like to know that he's getting such a high wage he doesn't have to put in as many hours to live on it. He's a lazy bitch, and that's why he hates millionaires, because he's jealous of millionaires. Alright guys, so from here, you know what, he doesn't make much of an argument of anything at all. He just keeps blabbing his jowls and just acting like he has any kind of sense whatsoever, yelling into the camera as if somehow yelling your voice as loud as possible and as obnoxiously as possible makes your arguments any more valid. It doesn't, okay? If you want to see his full video, I'll leave that in the description below so you can see what I edited out and what I didn't, and you know that I'm telling the truth about what he's saying. The fact of the matter is, he doesn't like billionaires because billionaires work harder than him and he feels threatened. He's nothing more than a feminist that suppresses free speech whenever it conveniences him. When it doesn't convenience him and he likes to say inflammatory things, you know what he does? He goes ahead and yells at feminists for doing it. And then he hypocritically says the exact same thing and does the exact same thing to anyone else he doesn't like, okay? So guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. I'm just going to cut it off here, except I'm going to show you a little bit of how he thinks of taxpayers, okay? His following statements tell you exactly what he thinks the taxpayers should think like. More specifically, this is how he views the people who pay the government of which is supposed to represent you and your desires, okay? Not simply the desires of a few, okay, but the desires of everyone. He thinks of taxpayers as nothing more than people who should serve his fat ass. So here are his final statements about how he doesn't believe that you should have a right to decide where your tax dollars go to and where they don't.
I kind of like a little bit of socialism. When I'm driving down the road, I like to know, this is kind of my road. When I see kids playing in the park, I like to know, that's kind of my park. When my house nearly catches fire, as it very nearly did recently, I like to know that the firefighters who report to the scene to put it out kind of work for me. I like knowing that my tax dollars pay for teachers, and for educational television and radio, and for health exams for people who are too poor to afford it. And if you don't like that your tax dollars go to that stuff, I have a response for you. Fuck you! It may not be eloquent, but at least it's honest, which is more than I can say for the rhetoric of the right wing.
Thug, 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 thugs, thug and thugs.
Thuggery.
It's all